The only person who dislikes these investotainment shows on CNBC more than me is our next guest, Scott the Cow Guy. But yesterday, there was this interesting moment. Jim Cramer, that's Mad Money goof.
Oh, yes.
He was on the desk talking about the presidential race and in conversation with one of the news readers there, David Faber. He's a blue state dilettante.
Yeah, did he slip? Was this a slip? Or
And
did he say it on purpose?
and here's their exchange. You take a listen.
If you're in the stock market, if you care about your paycheck, you go with Trump. If that's what you do.
You do?
Yeah, well, he wants to cut your taxes.
Oh, he wants to cut taxes.
Your taxes.
My taxes got raised enormously,
Well,
as
no,
you
he
know,
wants
under
to
the
cut
last
that.
Trump
No,
administration.
I don't know if he wants to cut your president.
No. I'm in a blue state.
Oh, yeah, no, forget you're out.
They want to
you're
kill
out.
us.
I tried to I tried to go to.
They want to put us out of business.
Pennsylvania.
That's
it's not
what
as
they
easy
want
as
to
I
do to
thought.
us.
I can become an
They already
Italian
did
citizen more easily in
by
Pennsylvania.
getting rid of the salt tax deduction.
Hey, Dave Faber, you killed yourself in the blue states. And hey, Dave Faber, you're sitting on the desk at CNBC. You're supposed to know something about markets and basic economics. Why should red states subsidize you in blue states with your artificially high prices, your artificially high property tax burdens, I should say, and other tax burdens? Why should we subsidize you? Now that I'm in a red state, why should we subsidize you with our tax dollars exactly? Because you have terrible government that is causing flight from your state. I assume he lives in New York or Connecticut. What's the difference? Yeah. Oh, he killed us. We're trying to put us out of business. The blue states have put themselves out of business, Dave. Isn't that right? I wish there would have been a little pushback from Cramer, but I guess we can only expect so much from him. We should take solace in the fact that he is able to grasp the obvious enough to say, if you care about your paycheck, then Trump's your guy. For more on all this, and of course the bloodletting on the market yesterday, am I allowed to say that? Your 401k is getting unburdened from what has been.
That's awesome.
A certified financial advisor tweeted yesterday. That was my favorite of the day. It's some gallows humor, but pretty funny nonetheless. Scott the Cow Guy, Shellady joins us, market specialist from Market Day Report, 10:30 to 1, and the Cow Guy Close, 1 to 1:30, both at RFD-TV. Scott, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Well, I mean, just before we get to the markets, I mean, I just want your comment on the investotainers there, Faber and Cramer.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more about the blue versus red states. And I mean, I used to live in one in Illinois, and I saw the light, and now I'm in Tennessee, and I can't tell you the difference. And yeah, I mean, Cramer. I mean, they're obviously very, very friendly as well. And Cramer lives in New Jersey, so he probably had a little bit of himself. But it boggles my mind. And I said this the other day at a dinner party on Saturday night. When I find out that you are from a blue state, or I mean, when you are from a Democrat and you support the things that happen in California, New York, Illinois, I kind of want to pull you aside. I'm not angry, and I always think you should be able to talk about these things. I don't subscribe to the fact that you should never talk about sex, politics, and religion. I think those are the only three interesting things to talk about in the world. So we should always talk about that. But I think because we don't, a lot of them bubble up and cause a lot of pressure because we never ever let it out. But I want to find out how you actually got to where you're thinking. I don't understand, if you're an educated person, of how you're supporting open borders, more crime, higher taxes. I'll never understand it. And I say this story all the time, Dan and Amy, about when I was 23 years old. I left the country to go work in England. First time I left the country, first time I had a passport. And I was just an agreeable kid from the Midwest. And I was at the passport desk in London at Heathrow, and the guy's doing the big stamping of my passport. And he says to me, when you finally find a place to live, you need to go register with the local police department. And I said, okay. And I grabbed my passport and I walked away, and he said, you know why? I said, no, I'm just being agreeable. I don't know why. He says, because you didn't put into our system. We don't want you taking anything out of it. And I thought to myself at 23 years old, that makes sense. Okay, sure. And fast forward to today, we are inviting people in to take out our system that they never put into. And I'll never, ever, ever understand how anybody with a brain thinks that that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not like Cinderella Man where you return the money that you got, once you're back up on your feet. That doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, okay.
I mean, no, because look, there's a sickness in our country, and it's amoral and unethical. Where you have to explain to people how student loan forgiveness is 100% wrong. They don't understand. If you can't explain right and wrong, that student loan forgiveness thing, I think, is an indictment about the character of our country. That you think that that's okay, and people are pushing for that when it could not be more wrong and go against the very fabric of a human being. I'll never get it. I just don't understand. It's a sickness.
I agree with that. So yesterday, Friday and then into yesterday, the real hammering. Wall Street Journal Ed Board said maybe the start of a reckoning for a decade and a half of excessive spending and easy money that's going to arrive eventually. How soon and rough the reckoning will be is the great unknown. Is it a real reckoning, or is it just hey Fed, you better give us those 3 rate cuts, or we're going to make this ugly for you?
That's exactly right. There will not be a reckoning. Yes, Friday. I've often said that our economy. Remember those old variety shows like Laugh-In or something when you were a kid, and they had all those plates spinning on all those skinny sticks.
Yeah.
That's what our economy's been like for about 15 years. And finally on Friday, a couple of plates fell off and shattered, and yesterday a lot of them fell off and shattered. And yeah, the Fed's going to come to the rescue again. But look at a chart of the S&P 500 going back to 1970, and in 2008, 2009, you can see where the Fed became ultra accommodative, right? Where it decided that they're never going to let the market go down again, and things have just gone straight up. It makes me sick. It makes me feel like it's not hard to be a stockbroker, because if you've got a 3-year time horizon, all you should tell your customers to do is keep buying the stock market. It doesn't matter. The Fed's not going to let it go down. So yeah, they're going to come to the rescue again, but here we go again. We only treat the symptom and not the sickness. The market fell and skinned its knee yesterday. Get up, rub a little dirt in it, and move on. No, we're gonna call in sick. We're gonna get the Neosporin out and use every Band-Aid in mom's a bathroom, and that's what they're gonna do. So we never ever get tougher. We never let the big banks fail. And again, it's a sickness in the society. We don't have backbone or a character as a country because we won't let that market fail, and it's wrong.
Well,
how hard is it to be a stockbroker nowadays? What's your time horizon? Do you have more than 3 years? Yes. Okay, then plow everything into the stock market. You'll be fine.
Are we heading to a recession?
I think we're already in one. I think a large part of America has been in one for a while. Remember in 2022 when we had 2 negative quarters of growth, and then the the National Bureau of Economic Research, the NBER, they're the ones that actually quote unquote decide that we're in a recession. They said no, we're going to change the definition just so that the administration wouldn't have any egg on their face. But I think right about then, a lot of America is already starting to feel the pain. 10% of America owns 93% of the stocks. So when we have inflation and stocks go up and real estate goes up, only the 10% benefits from that. Everybody else has to go to work, put gas in the car, go to the grocery store. A great example is they try to tell us that the grocery store, that inflation's up 23% over since Biden's been in office. There's nobody that goes to the grocery store today that spent $100 on groceries 2 years ago that can get out of there for $123. No way.
Well, it's funny you mention that, the disconnect. So Department of Ag has their thrifty grocery plan, which they describe as the cost of groceries for a healthy diet. It's now $975 a month for a family of 4. That's up from $675 a month before the week before Joe and Kamala took office. So that's a 40% increase in basic food costs.
That's more like it.
Yeah, that's but you have a 40% increase in basic food costs, and yet, from the street you hear, well, it looks like that a total of 3 cuts before the end of the year is a possibility because inflation is trending in the right direction, the softening job market trending towards 2%, and so again, it's policymakers that have the 10% that you're describing, in their mind, not the rest.
I'm afraid the likes of Powell and the Secretary Yellen, they don't really. I mean, they probably have a driver that takes. They probably have somebody do their shopping for them. I'm afraid that they don't know, and that's a large part of it. I mean, there's hundreds of economists at the Fed, and I don't know how it can't be more obvious. I mean, the upper 10% is doing just fine. They're going to be fine, but we're destroying our middle class. And ladies and gentlemen, if we don't have a middle class, we don't have an economy. I mean, those are the people that actually do stuff, and we're killing them. We're coring them. We're tearing them out from the inside. And I don't know what to say to people that they always come to me. What do I have to do to get out of this problem? The only answer is you need to make more money, and that's why. Yeah, they tell, we created X amount of jobs, and then the person that says, is told that says, yeah, I've got 3 of them. I still can't pay rent.
Right.
I mean, that's the situation. So here we go. Friday, what happened Friday is this. 2 things happened on Friday. The government's been massaging that jobs number for a long time. That's the last metric that everybody was leaning on, saying that things are just fine. But the government's been massaging it. They've revised them lower after each month comes out to the point where it's almost statistically impossible. And guess what? They got a bad one. There was nowhere to hide. The curtain was pulled back, and we saw who was really behind it. That's what the market didn't like, number one. Number two, it also didn't like what the Fed said on Wednesday. When Powell stands up in front, he's got a problem with being too transparent. You can be too transparent, right? He doesn't give himself any wiggle room. And he says, yeah, without saying it, we're going to get a rate cut in September. Basically is what he says. He talked around the margins. He talked around the outside. He nibbled at the idea, but without actually saying it, he said we're going to get a rate cut in September, and the market, reflected that. But what I heard was, a guy went to the doctor on Wednesday and said, "Doc, I don't feel well." And the doctor did a big, examined him, and he says, "You know what? You're right. You got a bad infection. So I've got a prescription of antibiotics at Walgreens for you right now. On the way out of here, go pick them up when you get home. Start taking the pills in 60 days." That's what he said. So he stood there and said that the economy's not doing well, but I don't think we're going to take our medicine until September. Whatever. It's ridiculous.
So if Trump wins in November, what are we looking at?
Well, there'll probably be a honeymoon period, but you know what? Whoever wins in November is going to be handed the biggest plate of you-know-what in January. There's no easy way out. We're $35 trillion in debt. We're about to start printing money to pay interest on our debt. Not principal, interest.
All right.
I mean, we're in trouble. Yeah, go ahead.
We're going to have, it's the poo-poo platter on January 20th. Got it.
Yes,
I can't take any more metaphors about the market, Scott. Scott the Cow Guy Shellady, market specialist for Market Day Report, 10:30 to 1, and the Cow Guy Close, 1 to 1:30, both at RFD-TV. Scott the Cow Guy, thank you as always.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. They're dedicated